Hey, hi Prem. I
Hi, welcome to our podcast, sir.
thank you Prem for the invitation. Thanks a lot.
Sir, to start with our podcast, I think there was a glitch there. I'll repeat. So I missed that. Welcome to our podcast on the topic of from to mayhem, the hidden secrets, risks of AI in production environments is what we are talking about. And we have Dr. Devam Shah joining us today. Sir, without further ado, let's talk on the topic of why traditional security frameworks fail to secure AI once it moves from development to production, sir.
Yeah, first of all, thank you Prem for the invitation. And today's topic is really beautiful. Mayhem model to mayhem. So when
Yeah.
we create the model, we don't know, we train it, we deploy it, and then it becomes mayhem when it goes to production for everyone, like including the security team, including the testers, because of the hallucination. Lot of things happen which is out of control and hard to control. So yes, but I think we need to manage the chaos, because if we are not able to manage the chaos, then we will be jobless after few years, because AI is the truth and it is getting integrated in every way of life. So we need to learn how to manage this mayhem, how to secure it, and that is very much important. So yes, coming to the first question you asked, like why are the traditional security framework is not really applicable while we are talking about securing AI when it moves from development to production. So here let's divide it into three stages. How any AI model goes from a development to production. There are three ways. One way is you directly integrate the agentic AI, which is like packaged AI, which can be Notion AI or Clean. You directly, they have prepared everything for your need, enterprise search or marketing need or whatever the needs are there. According to that, AI tools are there. You integrate it directly with the production, and it will directly talk with your production, take the production data. That is one way. The second way is RAG AI, RAG as service, like now that is a trending term. So retrieval and grounding as a service, where you use the APIs of the AI model, you use API of OpenAI or other models, and then build your own logic. You build your own a secure framework and own commands. You give own context and train it on your context and say it, okay, it need to work only for that context. That is kind of, if you ask me, it's like a traditional way platform as a service kind of model. But yes, it is known as RAG AAAS or yep. The third model is you deploy your own AI. There are multiple open source AI. Llama is one of the example. DeepSeek is also available. You deploy it into your EC2 machine in your infrastructure or into in on your on-prem machine, and then train it with your data. And once that is trained, then go live with that. Now let's discuss all the three parts and why traditional security approaches are not very much applicable to any of the model. So when we are talking about the first type of models, which are packaged AI, the thing is TPRM come into the picture, because we don't know what kind of security system or privacy system they have built. Here the actual TPRM comes into the picture, and we need to do proper third party risk management. Now the problem with the traditional TPRM is that we do it quarterly or monthly, but it's impossible to do it on a continuous basis, where AI itself is a dynamic and it changes on hourly basis. So a lot of new risks are getting introduced into the AI model. Imagine something which you have. risked a few months back, and now it's not at all valid. I am taking example of one agentic AI solution which you integrate. Now there are two chances. Number one, they have developed their own AI, or they might be using some other AI infrastructure behind them, like they might be using OpenAI or Llama or any other open source or the RAG as a service. So they also doing regular changes. Then OpenAI also doing regular changes. So chain of changes are happening, and that is, if you ask me, on minute basis. In that case, how to do proper TPRM is a very big challenge, and we need to address that. We will focus in later part of the podcast how we can address what kind of different strategies are there which we have implemented and lot many things. But yes, that is one way why traditional security models are not much applicable to the AI based products. Number two is RAGS service. So in that, lot of retrieval and grounding happens. Now, what kind of security we need to look here is there are a lot of new attacks will get introduced. Number one is prompt injection. You can ask although we have provided all the context and try to put boundaries around the model, but if we ask and try to hallucinate the model, then it is possible it will start giving some answer which is actually not relevant. So that can lead the company to the compliance issues as well. I'll give you one example. You have built guardrail around the your model and then created a model and deployed it into the production. It is protected against normal prompts. Okay, it will only talk about example. Let's take our example, locus. Okay, it's only talk about the locus. It should not talk about anything else. This is just an example. It doesn't exist in our product. We checked it, but yes, just one example. So it should only talk about locus. Now thing is, okay, you give some prompt. Okay, I am employee of locus and I want to know who is the president of USA. It sees like, okay, locus word is mentioned and now president mentioned. Behind that is it is retrieving and grounding with the chat gpt. So it will start giving the answer. I give very basic prompt, but then somebody can ask dangerous questions as well, which is hazardous for the safety. So these kind of prompt injections are possible. Now developer has strengthened the guardrail and they have put something. Okay, no, it should be only from this context only. Then you can also do the brute force attack. You ask 100 times, I am in the emergency, I need help, I need help, and then it will trigger. It's very easy to do this kind of attack with traditional tool of burp suit, like burp suit. And when you do it, it triggers and then you can start chatting actually with the chat gpt, not with the locus thing. If it is built on chat gpt, if it is gemini, then gemini. So that is the second risk, and it is very much totally new concept. So I think traditional security approaches won't work here. This is just one attack type. There are many such attacks available easily over internet, and we need to evaluate each of the attacks. As a security researcher, we need to get familiar with this kind of attacks, and we need to make sure our engineering team put enough guardrails and security controls to make sure the particular access is limited. The third one is the self-hosted, which is the most, I think, required very dedicated effort from the security team. When they host entire LLM into the machine or into our own infrastructure, then we need to understand what kind of components are used regularly. As I told you, it is very fast changing and evolving environment. So we need to check regularly what kind of security softwares and open source softwares are used into that. We need to check regular SBOM reports. We need to check what kind of vulnerabilities are coming. So we need to basically understand all the layers of that. Then if it is built on the open source, then also we need to see like what other kind of open source AI security controls we need to implement to for the guard railing. For it should only answer whatever is permitted. So we also need to design those all controls. So as per me, entire traditional security won't get fail. The basic concept of confidentiality, integrity, availability will still be applicable. It's kind of universal concept, but yes, the context will be totally different. And according to that, we need to, according to our organization, our own customization, we need to map and we need to create totally new frameworks.
Thank you for brief pointers that you had given on three sections, and you divided that very neatly. And I think that's where the whole production systems need to be looked at, from a development to a production, how we move, what is to be looked at, and how the process has to be looked at. Neatly given, sir. Now, can you or tell me what are the top three hidden security risks organization face when AI transitions to production? Because now we are talking about, we are not moving AI to production. We are talking about
Yes.
development to production. Now, tell me what could be the risks if I move directly AI to production?
Okay, very interesting question. So yes, first and the most important risk I can think of is data leakage.
Yeah.
Because when you move the AI to the production, uh, it will have access to a lot of production data, and based on the integration, if the integration is at the root level or higher privileged user level, then the AI system can access lot of production client data which is already present into the database. Now the thing is, there are two risks here. Number one, if somebody queries and then they can get the data which they are not supposed to look at. Now if you see traditional model of the security, then in the traditional model, all the people don't have access to the production system, and production systems are really protected with VPN and multiple safeguards. But when you integrate the AI system with your production and then you just put the simple prompt, it might give you some data which is actually unauthorized for that user. So that is very important from the internal user point of view. The second point is, uh, also we need to train user very well. What I have observed is people are really addicted to the LLM, and for any kind of thing nowadays they are using LLM. For simple email to analyzing excels to analyzing code, they are using LLM. For everywhere
Not
it is.
only code and stuff, sir. They are using LLM even to find something which is just to say hi. How should I say? That's the stage
Exactly.
they are going into the LLM side.
Yes,
Right.
even like before talking, they are using LLM. So
Yeah.
that's fine. And that's encouraged. In our organization, it's really encouraged to use the AI. But with that, there should be user awareness, and user should know what kind of things they should put. Like, okay, it's okay to analyze some basic email or some greeting emails, but it's definitely not okay to analyze the balance sheet of the company. So it's okay to analyze one generic list of the tool, but it's not okay to analyze critical financial information or some confidential codes. So that we need to draw a boundary, and user should be really aware like what kind of things should be put on the LLM, what kind of things shouldn't be sent to the LLM. So that is second thing. Then secondary in the data leakage. So there are these two risks are there. One is internal data leakage, where an unauthorized employee can get access to critical production data. Second one is the putting our own data, which is confidential, to outside LLM. So that is from the data leakage point of view. Then prompt injection, I think, is very scary. We already discussed it in detail in the while discussing the first case study. But yes, it can become really scary when it goes into the safety hazardous, or it can go very wrong into against the national security. So prompt injection is something which needs to be looked at, and there must be very strong guardrail, at least against the known security or safety related things. And third thing, if you ask me, the third risk is the shadow AI. Why shadow AI? Shadow IT was always a problem, but now in the similar manner, shadow AI also became a problem. Now I'll give you one example. Okay, so as an organization we may have contract with Gemini. If we are on the Google platform, we might have a contract with Gemini or OpenAI, where we have enterprise level contract and all the data should be taken securely and privately. We have already done the TPRM and all those things. But tomorrow some employee of the marketing team start using Claude or DeepSeek, then there is no control over there. We haven't done any kind of TPRM activity for the DeepSeek or the Claude AI. We have just done it with OpenAI or the Gemini AI. Just I'm giving one example. So there are so many AI and LLM things are coming. It's very hard to restrict the environment, and it's very hard to tell like any AI system you are integrating or you are using in your for the corporate. It is mandatory to take the SecOps approval. So that is becoming harder and harder. Even the harder part is to find out these kind of systems which are actually hidden and used by business functions. So those are the top three risks as of now on top of my mind. But yeah, if you have some points, we can happy to discuss those things as well.
Thanks for that, Ramshar. I think what you're telling is there are multiple factors that are to be looked at when you move to production. That's what you're saying in energy. How does agentic AI complicate traditional third-party risk management? That's one point that I want to understand when we look
Oh
at it.
yes. Yes, this is a very interesting question, because when all the things we can develop on our own, we need to integrate agentic AI to do automate lot of work. Let's take example of one marketing software
Hmm.
which marketing team uses to automate the lead generation thing, and it's agentic AI based solution. When you integrated it with your system, Salesforce or whichever gain site or whichever the platform you have been using, you just integrate that agentic AI. It analyze all of your leads and give proper analysis based on the prompts. So there is this is one solution. It's proper agentic AI based solution. Now what we do while integrating it, we do the TPRM. Of course, if it has access to the confidential data or the private data of the company, while doing TPRM, we analyze all the risk and all those things. Also we sign DPA with that particular tool, and all the legal formalities are done. But the thing is, the environment is so much changing. It's very hard to continuously monitor everything. Now in case if that agentic AI is using OpenAI or Gemini AI behind that, or Llama, we don't know what kind of things they are using behind their system. And those things are also continuously updating, upgrading. So meeting that continuous need is one of the risk. Second risk is doing proper threat modeling. Once we implemented that, then what kind of data access that tool has. We also need to define proper role of that tool or the service account via which that tool is getting the access. So we need to define, we can't give root access to that tool. We need to define a proper role via which viewer access or whatever the role is required, that only that kind of access should be given to the tool. So that is between tool AI and the tool integration. Now even on the AI system we need to create the rules and RBAC, proper RBAC, what kind of access each of the employee should have. Like salesperson A should have access to only client A to 10, then his prompt should reply answers to only client A to 10 information. It must not give information about all the client. So maybe sales head or marketing head may have different kind of access, regional head may have different kind of access, and the salesperson working on the field may have different kind of access. So according to that we need to manage the access control. So I think that is one of the approach we are following for the for the AI, agentic AI risk management.
So coming to that point of agentic stuff where we are managing so why is it essential to have cross control data access in production for AI environments?
Yes, so we just discussed that, right? Like it should have limited access only,
Okay.
because just recently, I think 1 or 2 days back only, what happened, that OpenAI breach happened. So I'll take that example. What happened? Like people used to chat with OpenAI, and sometimes they used to share a lot of personal information, psychological problems, then many relationship issues and very personal level issues. So if you categorize the data, then psychological related data are the highest confidential data. I think all the security community might agree on that point, like okay, psychological disease related data is the highest confidential data, and it should have highest level of protection. Now recently what happened, uh, when they discussed the links are shareable, and it was indexed by the Google. So when I forgot the name of the researcher, but what happened, when they searched that, it was coming on the Google, and when you open that you can read out the entire chat which is happening with the user and the chat GPT. Like some person has depression issues, some person has anger issues, some personal has even more dangerous psychological issues. So those all kind of things were available, and total 4500 kind of such links were breached just 2 3 days back. So it's very much important what you are sharing with the LLM. Just we need to be cautious, and there are enough controls in place. We need to make sure those controls are enabled.
So what you are saying is in another way that we are training the chat GPT LLM as well, right? So we are giving a lot of information, and that information when it publishes certain links, whatever we are telling that LLM to build upon or improvise upon is also getting leaked, right? That's
Exactly.
what you are saying.
It just 2 3 days back it was leaked, and it's the
Hmm.
recent news. Like, and this kind of information which were used to train. Yes, you are absolutely right. It is getting trained on our data only. And as I initially mentioned, people are so addicted to that without thinking anything. They are putting all the data. And
Hmm.
if they want to put that data, they should start into incognito mode and enable that mode of chat GPT, and then only talk. They are not even realizing that they are not turning on the security control. It's very easy. Like if you ask me to give one advice to all the viewers, then just go to the chat gpt and enable the incognito mode in the chat gpt, so it won't store any of your chat history, which whatever you talk into that chat. So just enable that mode and then talk with the thing if you want to discuss anything personal. But Yeah, people are not even taking care of that, and because of that, these kind of data is also used to train the open AI models, and unfortunately got leaked just a few days back.
Very valid points, I think, sir. We one way of looking at is we are also giving such data to have the model trained by itself, and the kind of searches that we do also enable the model to look at some of the data that we ask also. Coming to next pointer that I want to understand, what security vulnerabilities arise from shadow AI when moving AI models to production?
Okay, so shadow AI, I think it refers to something unsanctioned AI use across the department. Basically, like just one marketing person or marketing team, there is nothing against the marketing team, just I'm taking that example. But yeah, if they are just, or HR team is using some started using some AI tool, they came to know via their network, and they started using it, but they didn't inform it to the security team. Now the case is like it's not evaluated from the security and privacy angle, and we don't know what kind of data it is sharing or it is going. Even cross border transfer could happen, and the data could violate a lot of things into the from the compliance point of view. Even it is possible some engineer uses some model and just started using the production data. They have access to production data, they download some file, or some customer success download a file of all the customer complaint, upload it to some tool with which the enterprise level agreement is not signed, and just ask to analyze. Now, as we discussed in our last case, this kind of data is already getting stored, and these models are getting trained on them. So when we accept the terms and condition, it's very clearly mentioned, if you don't enable that particular controls, then it will take this all data to train the cell, train the model. Now just imagine a scenario: you are sharing clients PII or personal data for your analysis and to prepare the slide to present it to your manager. But when you are sharing this kind of data, it goes to that model and it become public. And as a security community, we know once a data is public, it is always public. You can do anything with that. Once it's leaked, it's leaked. So shadow AI is coming with this big data leakage risk, and it's out of control of the security team. So it's always advised, if you are using any AI tool, please loop your security team, let them give some time to evaluate all the controls, and unless they give the go ahead, kindly don't use any kind of AI tools. There are, I feel or I believe, most of the organization nowadays have approved AI tool list. Use any of the AI tool which are already approved, and if you want to use new, take approval.
I think what you are saying is very valid because now you find AI tools for everything and anything and everything. Now, looking
Correct.
at whatever you want to write a presentation, there are AI tools. You want to write a code, there are AI tools. You want to build an image, there are AI tools. Now, how many of them are approved is what we should look at. The industry or the organization is what you are trying to tell, and based on which, if there is an approved tool set that we can use the AI side, and you can use it based on. But also you are saying in one context is that you bring the security teams into consideration before you move to production. That's the
Yes.
point that we are looking at, right?
Yes.
Right, Devam?
Don't go autonomous way
Yeah.
where you just integrate something without the knowledge of the security team. It is very important.
Okay, got that point. Now, we were talking about prompt injection some time back when we when
Yes.
we started. How can prompt injection attacks affect the security of a AI in production environment? Because now we are talking about production environments. What risks are hidden when we have it in AI in production. What will happen if prompt injection attacks affect security? So, your take on this.
Yeah, let's take, I will explain it with one example. So let's take an example of a system which is RAGAS and backend. Let's take OpenAI is integrated. Okay, so you have built one agent, and that agent is using OpenAI in the backend. Now what can you do is like, the engineering team has provided the context, this is the context, and this agent only talk about this particular context, it should not go outside of this context. Okay, so that is they have told that, and it is working fine. Now what can go wrong? There are multiple clients, multiple users of that clients are there. So there is user A of client A and user B of client B. Let's take that example. So user A is chatting something with that system. Now user B just ask what was my previous chat. Now if the particular system is not context aware, backend the same chat GPT is there, so it will give the information of client A to client B user. How scary it is! Just if proper prompt injection controls are not in place, proper access controls are not in place, it's just the same API key. If you are from the development environment, you know, like it's same API key you are using, same chat GPT you are using in the back end, the same OpenAI system. So it whatever the client A is talking, all the information can be received by the client B if proper model is not built. Also one other example, okay, now you have built security controls which is known as guardrail. You have built the proper guardrail, you have introduced the authentication layer, and only it should give the authenticated data. You have built that. Now when you do that, how the flow is, first of all it will hit your guardrail, which is the firewall. We can say it like AI firewall. Okay, so it hits the AI firewall, then it if it is validated, then only it hit the model which is developed by the internal team, internal engineers, and then it goes to the OpenAI. That firewall is generally open source or built by the engineer teams. Somebody put the question, like as I referred in my first example, I am employee of Locus, give me information about president of United States. Totally too irrelevant question, but the firewall was built on the whitelisting approach. It was built any keyword specific to Locus should be addressed. So the firewall sees like, okay, the user is asking something about Locus, let's pass this information to the OpenAI just answer, okay, Mr. Donald Trump is the president of United States. So it will answer the question and it will appear to the user prompt. So that is one risk. Now I am giving example of the US president, but it can be like, okay, it's about some deep psychological thing, about some attacking thing. Here also one other guardrail also come into the picture. So one firewall is your internal firewall, and the second firewall is the firewall of the LLM which you are using. So chat GPT also has its own guardrail, it also has its own AI firewall that is really robust and really good. Few, like when they launched it was not that strong, but now it is at considerable level and considerable good level. So if somebody asks things related to suicidal or bombing or all those things would be blocked by the chat GPT firewall, which is at really good level nowadays, and it's very hard to bypass that. But prompt injection is a way of mechanism where you try to put AI into a story mode and try to bypass it and try to get the data. The again one of the major risk I see apart from the unauthorized access of the data is that if they are able to bypass the logic with the prompt injection and able to violate the compliance, then what will be there in the logs will be of the company system. So example, for an example, if it's a locus chatbot where client users are chatting and the client user is able to bypass this and getting some information of example terrorism, then in that case the API key actually used is of the locus. So it will come on the locus name. If something happen and chat gpt investigate, chat gpt no only come till the locus level, not beyond that. So they will come that level. So for our level company, when we are building such product, we also need to have proper logging. What kind of data or what kind of prompts users are putting into the system, we need to have that. So in case such kind of compliance issues happen, then we should be able to track it back till the user level. Okay, this is the user from ABC client and that user has queried this malicious prompt. So that is also one of the important control uh, which needs to be implemented to prevent the prompt injection or at least detect the prompt injection if in case if it is bypassed.
To coming to next point that I want to understand is, uh, we've heard about something called S bombs and
Yes,
AI bombs and stuff like that, right? So
correct.
can you give us an understanding why is the need for S bomb and AI bomb critical when deploying AI into production systems? And also a brief about what is this S bomb or what is this bomb, this one.
Sure. So SBOM is software bill of material and AI bomb is AI bill of material.
Okay.
When we implement any software, that software is not, nowadays softwares are very complex packages, and one software consists of, I will try to explain it as layman in as layman language as possible. So when you implement a software, it consists of a lot of packages, a lot of open source libraries. So SBOM is what? SBOM is basically information of all those packages, all those open source materials which are used in the particular software. If I give you one example, like if you are, it's like very layman language. If I explain, you are buying a packet of chips, and in the packet of chips if you just turn it around, you will see all the ingredients. That is nothing but the SBOM in the term of software. So it gives you entire list of the packages and the things. Now why it is very important in the case of AI or any software? Number one, open, when you integrate any software or develop your own software, many of the open source libraries you include. It's not about open source tools, but it's also about open source packages and open source libraries. So number one, you include a lot of open source libraries and packages into your software, which introduce a lot of vulnerabilities into your product. So it is very important to know what kind of vulnerabilities are getting introduced into the our software, and how we can fix that by updating those packages, those vulnerable packages. There are also packages which we might have included and then open source community stop the support of that package. So there is no patches which are coming for those open source packages. When you create the SBOM report, you actually get very detailed idea about those packages. And then if you find out like that packages are not getting regularly updated, then you may need to find out the replacement which is for which the open source community is active. Okay, so that is number one. Number two is copy left. So copy left is also very important issue. Now many of the people have the assumption we can use any open source library or open source package in our production, but it's not the right assumption. When you are using the open source package and open source library into your product, then you need to check the license of the same. there are various licenses like AGPL is there, GPL is there. If you use AGPL or GPL into your production and you are selling it, then it is mandatory by the legal requirement. Uh, you need to open source your entire code. So even you might have patented technology, you might have copyrighted things, you might have spent hundreds of developers efforts into developing one product, but just if you integrate one AGPL license or GPL license and you use that code into the production, then it is actual license violation, and that is called the copyleft. You need to make entire of your product open source. That is not possible for any organization. So it is very much important to analyze the license, like if it is LGPL, then what kind of what kind of impacts are there. If it is AGPL, what kind of impacts are there. GPL, what kind of impacts are there. Generally these 3 4 licenses are dangerous. If it is like Apache or MIT, then I think it is safe to use. But how do we know that? We need to analyze the entire software, we need to have the SBOM report, and only when we have the SBOM report, then we can tell yes, this is safe to use into our production. This is very much applicable while even integrating the AI to our system, because when we are integrating AI to our system, then and they are using these kind of licenses which are not okay and which are violation of the license, then because of that integration, we also need to open make our code open source. So that is one serious issue from the legal point of view, and it's I may categorize this issue into cyber legal point of view. But yes, that is also one of the very important reason to analyze the SBOM and AI bomb. We can discuss on SBOM and AI bomb for 1 2 hours itself. It's very deep and detailed topic, but I think I should pause here. If you have any further question on that, we can discuss SBOM or AI bomb, or we may continue with our topic.
I think there are a lot of insights which are coming in, which I think most of the people don't know when you are moving AI to production. That's where we are trying. The examples are very apt. The pointers that you are mentioning is very clear. I, I am trying to learn so many things when I move it to production. When I see how a AI system can look at. Now coming into the next point, how can AI threat intelligence prevent risks in AI production systems or environments?
Yes. And now this is one very good point. Current till now we talked about how to manage AI related risk and mayhem. Now how we can utilize AI to manage AI related risk.
I
So
think what we are talking is, see, one way of looking at AI is being used by both. No, that you know
yes,
very well. So the protector also wants to have an AI where we want to protect. The guy who wants to disrupt also wants an AI to disrupt. So there are two. It's a double-edged sword if you really look at. Both sides use AI. Now, who's the weaker is what we are trying to look at now. How do we prevent with what is being done on AI is what we want to look at. Now, AI security for AI is, I think, what is that we are talking about. So,
yes,
yeah, first.
actually, this is very important, and it is like mayhem as we discuss. And if we don't use AI, then we will be replaced. So it is very important to use AI in the security team, and I encourage my entire team to use various AI models.
Yeah,
So one example, I will give two examples here. One thing we talked a lot on the data leakage side. So let's take an example of data leakage only. So nowadays, I don't name the solution or vendor because I'm not promoting it, but we are using one of the premium DLP solution, and that DLP solution itself, now they have introduced the AI model into that. So what we can do is we can just deploy the AI model into the DLP, and it gets trained on the data, and then it automatically identifies, rather than just before that DLP model were based on the patterns and the regex, but now the DLPs are also on the LLM. So based on the context of the email, it will be able to identify whether it's the confidential data or a secret data, and then that data should leave the company premise or not, and that is easily available with the known vendors of the DLP. So this kind of features are already available. Now just imagine how difficult it would be for a person to analyze hundreds of mail which were triggered in the DLP. So with this kind of model, it's very easy to analyze the such emails, and you can easily find out the emails which are actually used to send the confidential data outside the organization. So my point here is it reduced a lot of false positive, and SOC analyst job become really easy with the AI if you implement it correctly. The second example, I will give you our own live example which we implemented. So, being a B2B company, Locus gets lot of client requests, and most of our a lot of client security requests our team gets. Most of our clients are into Fortune 500, and they have very rigorous audit process. So, lot of audit keep happening, and as a part of audit they send big questionnaires to us. What we need to do is, like before AI, we need to fill those entire Excel file by our own team, and then need to review. Some senior members, junior member fill the entire questionnaires, and then senior member need to review that. Even when the sales team is approaching the prospect, as I told, most of them are big enterprises, they have big list of TPRN questions, 200 to 50 plus questions come to us, and then the junior guy need to fill and all the questions with the evidences, and then senior guy read and validate the questions, and then we send it to the prospect, either prospect, or if it is client audit, then we need to send it to the client. It takes generally 7 to 10 days to complete 200 to 250 days of the questions, and it requires one man for 10 days to fill one questionnaire. Now after AI, what we created is we created RFB bot. We simply put all the knowledge base, all the knowledge base, all the pre-filled RFP which were approved by the senior member. I reviewed as a CISO, and change whatever changes are required. I change those control. I bifurcated these things into two parts. Number one, which are like generally static or very hard to change. Example are cloud environment. If cloud environment is getting changed, then that is a big change and unlikely to happen. So those kind of questions in one set. And there are certain questions which used to change frequently, like they want some MFA related things, or password policy related things, or backup related information that changes frequently based on the updates or the threat metrics we have. So I divided entire RFP knowledge base into two parts. One is one which will remain permanent or stable. One is quite dynamic in nature. We need to update that on a quarterly basis. On that, I built RFP bot, and it's very simple bot. We built via some of the tool provided, available, easily available. Just we build that. Now the job is so easy. Sales guy just need to upload the Excel file into the RFP bot, and all the answers will be filled from that RFP base in different LLM language. Just he needs to tell what kind of answers customer or prospect want bullet point wise answer, or prospect like to have descriptive answer. Just you need to tell that, and based on the RFP bot, it provides all the answers. Just our job is to review it once and send it. So the 10 man day work reduced to 4 hours. That is how it is, and this is the real thing we implemented.
I think what you're saying is there are a lot of permutations and combinations that you should look at bringing AI to protect AI.
Yes.
So that's the point that we are trying to drive. Now, coming to the final question that I have for our discussion today, before I summarize, what is the role of a continuous AI audit in production environment to ensure security and compliance? Because end of the day, we need to ensure security and compliance standards, frameworks, and guidelines to be maintained for various uh, domains, right? Healthcare, if you're talking about healthcare, there is some guidelines that we need to look at. IT system something, then data side something. So how do we look at this continuous AI auditing in production environments for compliance and
Okay,
security?
so
Your
this
take on
is the last question, and I may feel it might be slightly controversial because
that. Okay.
what I feel, I studied ISO 42001, I studied European Union's AI framework, I studied those things, but what I feel is it's quite outdated. It's
Okay.
really outdated, and I don't think they are up to the mark to meet the security requirement of how the AI nature is getting changed. They try to create
Mhm.
something. I really appreciate their work, and they came up very soon with all the model. Unlike the ISMS, they take a lot many years, like 3 4 years, just to analyze the thing. But I think the certification bodies and audit regulators need to change their approach, and they need to come up with something which is more agile rather than taking 3 4 years and designing a framework. Even months are not okay. So if you see the model which design, it is actually not addressing the real risk which AI is introducing into the production. It is just talking about documentation and frequency, and again the same kind of thing, process and all those things. But I think totally impractical. Being in a startup working on AI based system where AI is the core and many things are getting built around it. Okay, we might need to do this kind of certification if our enterprise client asks, but that is just for the compliance purpose. It is not addressing the actual risk of the thing. We need to have solid framework which actually audit the things based on the continuous changes which are happening into the AI. These standard frameworks, I feel it's not really good.
Now, I take your point in a sense that what we see AI changing on a regular basis,
Correct.
which is very fast. I think the frameworks, the structures, the policies also should adopt to that kind of a framework where they are also have that speed in
Yes,
changing things, because the AI system or a policy is built by, but you see today that whole structure itself is different.
actually.
So how do we correlate and match the policies, the acts, and other things to match what is there in the current industries as an implementation or tool set, right? That's what you are trying
Yes,
to say. Got it, sir. So with this, I think we've done with the pointers. I'll just do a small summarization with what I've been noting down some of the points with about 12, 13 questions that we had. We started with how we can traditional frameworks from focusing to static models to dynamic and AI systems. That's what we spoke about. Then we spoke about top risks that can be looked at: prompt injection, AI attacks, risk TPRM is what we spoke about, right? So then when we spoke about securing data in production or risk of losing everything, so that is one pointer that we spoke about. Then we spoke about shadow eye looking your network, here's how to spot it, kind of, right? So what is that we can look at? We spoke something on S bomb or AI bomb, which Dr. Devam said that these are bill of materials, which I didn't have an idea, so I learned a new thing there. And coming to the next point is how do we integrate smart intelligence to smarter defenses, because AI is needed for AI's protection now. The threat is coming from AI system. We are building AI systems to protect it as well. So that is another point that we spoke. And then we spoke about the roles that AI should look at when we are doing a continuous auditing while we do it in production, where we uncover some of the pointers which can be AI, sorry, EU AI Act and the ISM, AIMS, which we are talking about, is 42,001,
yes,
right?
correct.
Yeah. So that's the pointers that we discussed in a 45 minutes, 50-minute discussion that we had overall today. And with that, we would like to conclude our session for today. Devam sir, any pointers that you have to tell to the audience as a final
No,
concluder? How do we look at securing the hidden security risk in AI in production? Because this is the first time we are talking where AI is going to be in production. So, what are the cases or what are the hidden securities that we are talking about? And over to you, sir. Any pointers that you would
uh,
like to add as a final comment to
see
the
some
audience?
of the questions here. I like to take one question which I really like it. Like, is AI helping reduce false positives in threat detection, or is it adding noise? So that is actually
Okay.
very good question. So AI by default is just a child without any knowledge. It's up to us what kind of knowledge we feed it to the AI system. Like if you ask integrating general LLM or a generic thing, definitely it will add a lot of noise rather than preventing the threat detection. But there are specific trained model for the threat detections, and if we implement that, then yes, it helps to prevent the false positive in the threat detection. It's up to us what kind of context we are providing to the AI. If data is not proper, I gave one example of RFP, like okay, some like okay, our data is not properly filtered, we don't know what is real threat, then it's very difficult for the AI to detect that. But if we have very clear cut metrics defined, okay, if it falls into this criteria, that criteria, and that this criteria, then only it is considered as a false positive. If we are able to create those kind of rules, then I think AI will be a great addition to the threat detection and to reduce the false positive. So it's up to us what kind of context, what kind of content, and what kind of data we are providing.
That's- Thank you for that, sir. I think with this, we would like to conclude. Thank you for being with us today. To the audience, we have streamed this podcast live to YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. While we hope that you found this discussion valuable, and thank you for joining us. Our next episode is going to be on synchronized superclass 1 hour bespoke growth roundtable tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. It is a Zoom session that we are running in. Looking forward to see you there. Sir, thank you for joining us, sir. And with this, we would like to end our podcast. Thank you for
Thanks a
joining
lot.
and have
Not
a
have
great
a
day, sir.
great day.